Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Some Days Today, where we encourage you to live your best life. Here with me today is my co-host, Mac Odina.
Hello, everyone. Well, welcome and happy listening to our podcast time.
Yes, thanks for listening to our podcast. And joining us today is the amazing Foluso Gbadamosi. Some of you all may know her from her social media activities. Foluso is quite active on Instagram particularly, but just more formally, let me just introduce her. She's a Director of Business Process and Technology at Prime Atlantic Group. She is a social advocate and has a nonprofit, a foundation that she started, and I'd love to hear more about that. Foluso. She is a social media, she's an award-winning social media for good winner. So she's very active on social media, like I said, and doing some amazing things. She is a speaker, and more recently, she is an author of the amazing book, Dream On Dreamer. And then, of course, on top of all that, Foluso is a wife. Foluso is a mother. She's an amazing daughter. She's a sister. She's a great girlfriend. So really, the girl is busy. Busy girl. But welcome, Foluso. So excited to
Hi, guys. So good to see you guys as always.
I know.
It feels like old days, like we're all hanging out.
I know. Well,
we should have mentioned that Foluso went to the same, we have share alma mater, went to school together.
Yeah, I want to talk about how we met. Yeah, but that's the great thing about social media, but even technology and us doing this day, because we've had social media for some time, but thinking to do a video call like this is something that I think is so recent. So yeah, I mean, you're currently in Nigeria and we're here in America and Maryland. So being able to connect and see each other like this is amazing. But we'll get into the background. But welcome, Foluso, and tell us a bit about yourself. Yes.
Okay, so I think that you've kind of already touched on pretty much everything that I do. I don't think that you missed anything out. So I'm obviously passionate about many things, and one thing I said to you last time we spoke, and which I say all the time, is that I find expressions for all the things that I'm passionate about, right? So I'm passionate about several things, and I don't think that I need to kill the things I'm passionate about. So I find ways to express them through different various organizations that either, I'm a part of, a member of, or, I founded or co-founded with someone. But point is, I feel like we all have different expressions of ourselves, and it's very important that we find a way to express those things so that we don't feel like, like we're missing out on stuff. So yeah.
That is amazing. And you're right, because honestly, the last time we talked, I was just, because I have been struggling with, I'm a busybody, Foluso, clearly you're a busybody times 100. But part of what I struggle with is how do I balance all the things that I'm interested in? And a good nugget that I took away from what you said is you don't have to head everything. You know what I mean? Like you can just find expressions for them. So you can join a team of people who are doing those things. You don't have to be at the helm of everything. But of course, the challenge for me with that is I kind of like to control things. So it makes it a bit difficult. But that's a topic for another conversation.
Yeah, that's a different topic. So
yeah. But before we jump into it, though, I do want to talk briefly. Okay, so let me just say how Foluso and I met, and some of the similarities in our background. So Foluso and I, we met when we were freshmen together at Pittsburgh.
98.
98.
Yes. 98. Yes.
And I think actually that I met Foluso before I met you, Mac. I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm just putting you on notice. Somebody's got to go. We already know who got seniority here, so. But yeah.
But you know what? You met Mac very, very shortly after we met Bola, so don't get too proud now. Like, it was probably within like a few months. Because I remember Bola didn't waste any time at all. Like, you guys met and it was like, boom.
It was, yeah.
It's okay, because I'll leave you two with the kids.
Bola, let's have a rethink about that.
Yeah, we're gonna rethink the strategy. We're gonna rethink the strategy. But yeah, I think the reason why this is so fascinating is prior to me meeting Felicia, I had been the sole computer science woman of color in my program.
Yes.
So I think, I don't even know if we met in class or if I saw your name on the sign-in sheet at Holland.
Something
But
like probably.
But it was one of those things.
Yeah.
I just remember,
I don't remember
whatever it was, I was just like, okay, yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna be friends because
like we must be friends.
We can't do this alone. You're
We're the
Nigerian.
only two black girls. Yes, the only two black girls. Definitely the only two African girls. If we're the only two black girls. And yeah, it was interesting. So we stood out like a sore thumb, and we were a tag team like all the way.
Yeah,
in good and bad things. But let's leave that for another day.
I know, but it was amazing, and
yes, it was great.
It was great, and look how far we come now. Now
I know.
Now you're a director of business process and technology. What does that mean? Let's just quickly talk about some of the things you do before we jump into everything else. So what do you do at work?
Okay, so essentially I am in charge of, everything that has to do with technology at work. So every single thing, from our systems to our strategy, that's all under me. The reason why that fits so well with business processes is because, as you guys know, a lot of processes actually get automated, right? Yeah. That's the way of the future. That's the way for efficiency. I mean, look at us now. We are on this Zoom, video thing that can go as far as possible. You can put it on different platforms, but essentially what this is automating a meeting. You know what I mean? Like, so the process of a meeting has been automated into like an online meeting. So all I do really at work is find ways to make our processes more efficient and effective, and do everything with technology, from strategy to our day-to-day operations and all that good stuff.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's actually similar to what we do within.
Yes. Yes, I love what you guys are doing, by the way, but let me not get into that. No.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like we're like right here. That's why I had to email you yesterday. Like, you know what? We right here, but that's another time.
We here. Anyways, we here.
There's this love fest going on here.
Of course, it's a love fest. I love you, Felicia.
It's such a love. I love you, Paula. I love you, Max. Paula, please let's show Max some love, because it's not right.
I swear.
Okay. Okay. Did you want to ask a question?
Do you have?
I do. Felicia has like 10 things she does. We gotta get through them up.
Okay, you got the whole thing.
Yes. Wait. So we'll quickly get to it. But then I don't want you to rush through the next one though. So social advocate. Tell me more about that as it relates to serving with love.
Okay. So the whole thing behind social advocacy is not just that you're doing good things. It's that you also find ways to push for policies and actual like permanent change. So as much as you can liaise, with government or with whoever is in power, whoever is in charge, just to have like the right policies and stuff going on. So what we do is not just do we help, like poor families in our community, we also find ways to get things actually changed and done for them. So one of our biggest projects actually is called the Digital Life After School Program. And what it is that we have like a whole computer lab somewhere where a bunch of kids from a very poor community go every day, and they have classes, computer classes, because they can't, have classes in their schools because their schools are not properly equipped. In fact, some of the schools actually have computers, but they don't have any power, so it's all kinds of weird stuff. So what we do is not just, give people these opportunities, we also find ways to also advocate so that the government can do the right thing for, all these poor families, and especially children, because obviously we all know that children are the future. So yeah, that's what the advocacy that we do is all about.
Right. And your organization is called Serving with
Love Foundation, yes.
Foundation that you co-founded with a bunch of your other
with two friends, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my turn. So first and foremost, I appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Sincerely. We know each other from school. We were in
from like forever.
We were an African Students Organization.
Yes, ASO.
And I'm African by marriage and by love of the country.
Mark, sorry, Bola, but Mark is probably more African than you, because Mark's passion for Africa, like, I'm sorry, Bola. Mark's passion for Africa since day one when we met him, we're like, who is this Haitian uncle? Who is African?
It's
I started calling him Mac and Bing.
Mackie, that's your new name, man.
Oh no, I'm making it. This is true.
I love it.
So, we've always been into, like the social good, especially for our
Yes.
people. And so I appreciate what's going on. Like I come from a country, where the leaders are doing well for their people either. And obviously in the US, what's been going on with the George Floyd and everything like that, the need to advocate for our own people. It's like a global thing.
So important.
And so I appreciate what's going on. And I wonder, I guess my question to you is, do you feel like what you're doing is something that is catching on that a lot of the people who have studied abroad like yourself are going back and trying to make this type of change?
So, I think that it's a mixture. So, I don't want to generalize and say, it's certain kinds of people that are advocating. I think anybody that has vision, whether they went to school abroad or they've been in Nigeria since the day they were born, or any kind of person, I think it really just takes you being a visionary person and somebody who is very passionate about your environment. So you cannot, in my own opinion, you can't live in Nigeria, even in the richest of cities, So I live in Lagos, which is like one of the most, populous and wealthiest cities in the country. You can't live here and not see poverty. Like it's everywhere. Like literally, even if you are on the most expensive real estate, you look to the side and poverty is right there staring at you. So I think that people that are doing similar things to us are just people that are passionate about people, people who don't feel like God sent them to earth, just to do good, just to do good for themselves, have a nice house, drive a Range Rover, have some kids, send them to good schools, but, to really do much more, like use their talent to actually help and build their communities. And there's so many people like that here, guys. Like we have all kinds of people and they're doing amazing work. I mean, people here, I think are actually very passionate about helping. I think the biggest problem that we have, obviously, is infrastructure. We have a huge infrastructural problem. So a lot of times people trying to help get blocked by that, because we have power problems and water and things like that. But I think that as far as the heart of people, I think people really are advocating. Quite a lot of people are advocating. One thing I will say though is that I don't think that you can advocate alone and in isolation. So I'm all about, listen, guys, band together. Like don't think that you can make a change, as a one man or even like a two man. Like you really have to, find a way to find people that have similar interests to you and come together to really make a change, especially if you want to change government policies, because you don't know government policy is deep. I mean, if you guys think that it's deep there, it's actually deeper here, I think, because we have some policies that are so retarded. Like you just be like, in 2020. I mean, we have some policies about women, about even like the marriage age, things that you're like, in 2020. So there's so many policies here that need to be changed. But what I also find is that a lot of us are advocating, but we're running away from positions of power, right? So you can advocate all you want, but you also have to find a way to penetrate the system, get that influence, as far as they can get to, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think that there's quite a lot of people here doing that, whether they've schooled abroad or they have been here all along.
Very good. And just to quickly follow up, because I mean, we could probably spend, especially with us.
Matt, you and I will talk about this until next year.
I know.
And then Bola will roll her eyes at us.
So, I got questions, people. Questions.
I know. So we're not going to stick there because I definitely want to get to how you've stepped up. From the young girl that I knew, and the powerful woman that I see you becoming. And so, but in the book, obviously, but just to follow up on that, I guess what I'm trying to say is, or what I'm trying to find out is, because obviously Nigeria has very talented, very smart people, for example, depending on how they use it, like my man Hush Puppy, I don't know if you know.
Listen, don't.
But yo, I mean, in some ways you gotta admire what the heck he's doing.
Bola, I told you that Mark is more Nigerian than you. How does Mark know Hush Puppy and you don't? Girl, bar. Hush Puppy.
We talked about him this weekend. Go ahead.
Let Mark tell us about Hush Puppy. Mark, tell us
talked about him this weekend. He is like, if you go on Instagram, he's got like moved to Malaysia and he's got all the finest of things. Like, you know,
Yeah.
he lives in Dubai
I mean,
now.
balling out of control. Yeah.
Balling out of control. It's crazy. And recently, the government just found out that he, you know, did this whole scheme during the whole PPP COVID-19, you know, unemployment scam, where his team just basically robbed the United States of hundreds of millions of dollars. And so now they have arrested him in Dubai, and Nigeria.
And he's Nigerian?
Yeah. Nigeria and the U.S. are fighting to try to get him, you know,
to the U.S.
to be arrested and go to extradited to their place. But yeah, I mean,
so they want to extradite him to the U.S. Yeah.
But I just mentioned it because clearly, I mean, this takes some like if this were not just considered by a government to be illegal, it'd just be like business, right? Like, I mean, in some ways, you know, if you think about how the U.S. goes and says, I'm going to go to war with Saudi Arabia because I want their oil. I mean, like, this is somebody using their brains to get what they want. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
The point is, you know, what I feel like, the question I'm asking is, in order for the kind of things that you talked about, the infrastructure and everything to work, it's got to be like a cultural shift. Like, people got to start to see that there is a need to build. I'm trying to see whether or not you feel it's something that's growing within the culture and within the country.
I think, I mean, I think that the need, us knowing that we needed this stuff has been like since the beginning of time. So don't forget also that we didn't start out this way, right? We actually had it going on, as they say, you know, things were working very well. We had great universities, we had great education. I mean, the economy was super duper strong. I think that since we discovered oil, that's when we lost our minds. Because, you know, oil for a lot of people is like free money, right? Like, you don't really have to. So outside of the exploratory part of oil and gas, where you actually have to go and explore, you know, and get the oil out, it's like free money. It's like, hello, you know, like everybody needs oil, like all over the world. So what happened for us, I think, is that the moment we discovered oil, we got super lazy, and people also got very greedy because the money was a lot of money. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, that whole poverty mentality thing then, you know, came up, and people started focusing more on their personal empires than actually caring about the good of other people. And so what we have is a degeneration of our infrastructure. So you see that things just keep getting worse. And it's not like it started out that way. Somebody could have built, as an example, a bridge freaking like 50 years ago. Why hasn't anybody thought to, you know, either upgrade the bridge, you know, create another bridge? So an example, let's say there's one bridge getting you from one place to the other. Maybe for the past like 30 or 40 years, no one has thought, oh, let's create maybe like 3 or 4 other bridges, right? Let's all keep using that same one bridge until the bridge is, you know, kind of shaking off of its hinges. So it's really just that we don't have a culture of vision, unfortunately. We don't have a culture where we think, what about tomorrow? What about the future? What about my great-grandchildren? You know what I mean? Like, what about just the future? Like, it's so simple. Like what will they say about me? Like, what will my great-grandkids say? Or what will the future generations say about me when, let's say, I was in this government role? Like, what is my legacy going to be? So what we really have is a problem where, and it's not just in Nigeria, where a lot of African leaders just have a legacy problem because they don't even think about legacy. You know, all they think about is now, me, my family. I want to acquire as much as I can so that I never have to go back to poverty, because a lot of them obviously, you know, came from very humble beginnings. And so it's like, I never want to go back to poverty. So let me just amass as much wealth as I can for my own family. It doesn't matter if everybody else around the community is dying, you know, on a daily basis. I'm going to do all I can for my people. So, you know, it's really, like you said, it's like it's beyond just cultural. It's almost like what's it called? It's become like I don't even know what to call it anymore, but it's like a systemic
sort of reinforced,
right?
Yeah, it's reinforced itself.
Yeah, and it keeps reinforcing itself and reinforcing itself, because what then happens is that for every leadership that we've had in the past few years, those that are their mentees or their proteges, you know, are watching their leaders and learning from them, and very few of them are coming up and doing better.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you also have a lot of kingmakers who are putting people in positions that they know are going to be there for their personal benefit. So I was a governor or I was a president, I no longer am, but I'm going to make sure that the next person is going to be my person that's going to keep lining my personal pocket. So it's never really about the community or, the people. I mean, what people, like, they'll be fine, like,
yeah.
Yes.
No, it is a difficult nut to crack, because I kind of feel like, at least in America, and maybe it's as a result of the makeup of the people who came here, there's very much a culture of, we are going to build it, as
yes,
we're all
exactly.
going to build our future. So the folks who came here didn't have anything, but they had to build everything from scratch. And based on that, I think the children watch them. Oh, my parents did this, my grandparents did this. Here's what I can do to move it forward.
Exactly.
So this culture of creating value, building, and like you said, Foluso, at least the European culture is very much about, from a material perspective, it's very much about what will my legacy be. Hence the reason why they build, statues and massive buildings and all of this, and they want to make sure that the future generation knows what their contributions were.
Yes.
Whereas, in other African nations, we probably have our values in other spaces and not as much in building infrastructures for the community per se. So I think, I think it's a difference in terms of values per se.
I think so.
And I think it continues to feed each other.
It does.
Itself. Yeah.
It does,
so it is going to be a difficult thing to crack. But hopefully people like yourself who are, and other passionate people who are multi-talented, multi-passionate, very well-resourced, hopefully eventually, like you said, we'll
play our part.
Break your part, but figure out a way to get into positions of power to then figure out if you can make a change, because it's so necessary.
It really is.
But do you feel like you're making progress from the advocacy work that you're doing, or from some of the other foundational
definitely. So there's an organization that I'm a part of called Women in Management, Business and Public Service. And I mean, WIMBIZ is a pretty big organization, and it's been around for many, many years now. And I think one huge lesson I've learned from WIMBIZ is the power of people just coming together for a common cause. Like, so this is just a bunch of women from different, parts of Nigeria. It's not about whether you're Yoruba, Hausa, or Igbo. It's not about whether you're young or old. It's literally about, we have a similar passion, and our passion is to move the woman forward. And it's not to move the woman forward just for moving her forward's sake. It's to move her forward so that she can do better, right? So that she can build up her community. Because what you see is that when you empower a woman, she empowers a whole community. Like that, like that's just the way that women are. Like, because we're nurturers, we carry seed, all that stuff. Like, we just automatically would rarely do something that's just about us. You know what I mean? Like, most women want to do something for their children, they want to do something for their families. So what we found is that the more you empower women, the more they go out and empower others. And so a lot of the advocacy work that WIMBIZ does is actually goes really, 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 really far. Like, if WIMBIZ lends its voice to a very powerful issue going on, you can believe that the government is probably going to listen. And once again, that's why I said we have to come out of the mindset of doing things as individuals, like in silos, like, oh, I want to be, the founder or the leader. Like, who cares? Just join with somebody who's getting stuff done and get stuff done, as opposed to trying to be like, Lord and master over an organization, which is another issue, but let's leave that alone for now, because I can talk about that for another like 10 hours, how many of us actually have that problem. You want to be at the limelight.
So that's a lot, but kudos to you, because I know that's a huge undertaking. My other so what about the social media sort of advocacy and quite a movement that you've developed? So talk more about that and what's behind that.
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. This is the first time I think I'm probably getting that question asked.
Listen, we breaking news up in here.
I love it. So you guys know what is really like interesting about this whole social media thing. So it's actually a bit of a story. And I guess that you guys are here for that. So let me tell my story.
Some days
so
today,
So I think that it was about, was it 4 years ago? Was it even up to that? It might have been about, I'm just trying to get the exact year right. It might have been actually maybe like 3-4 years ago. Randomly, guys, I kid you not. My Instagram page had been private. First of all, I was a late comer to Instagram. Like, when people were getting it, I was like, what's that? Whatever. Like, I'm tired of all these things, At that point, Facebook was popping, Twitter was popping. So I was like, no, I cannot add anything else. And then I randomly opened up a page, and all I would post were pictures of food and things that I, things that I like, like food and restaurants, and, you know what I'm saying? Because I like me some food, as you know, and then, I was just doing my thing. I'm barely posting on Instagram. Like, I wasn't an Instagram starter at all. And then maybe like 2 years or like a year or so after that, one day, this is actually exactly how it happened. I'm not being dramatic, I promise. I know I can be dramatic, but this one is actually real. So one day I'm sitting down in church, and the pastor is preaching about being a kingdom addict. And I'm like, what's that? He's talking and talking and talking. And I'm like, okay, this sounds like a really interesting sermon. And then literally, I felt like he was talking to me. Like, it was one of those sermons that you hear and you're like, no, this one has my name all over it. You understand? Yeah, like my name was all up on it. First name, last name, middle name.
Were you at home with me last night, Pastor? What's going on?
I mean, where you and God? Exactly. And then that whole sermon just completely captivated me. And I mean, I don't even know how I got up and walked out of church that day. Leia probably was just like in his own bubble. Because the way it is sometimes when 2 or 4 people or many people are hearing a message, but everybody's getting different things from it. Like, what I got from that message was so amazing for me in that season of my life. And then the following morning, something happened. I can't remember exactly what happened. And I felt like God said to me, open up your Instagram page. So first of all, I laughed because I was like, does God actually care about Instagram? Like, Foluso, like, where did that thought even come from? So the following morning, I was talking to a friend of mine and I was laughing. I was like, can you imagine what happened yesterday? Oh, this thing is so funny. God said I should open up my Instagram page. Isn't that funny? So she's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, because it's funny. She's like, no, it's not. Open it. I'm like, no, I don't do that. I'm a private person. The people that have public Instagram pages, they're interesting people. That's not the kind of person I am, and I have this whole thing in my head. And then she's like, so you're going to disobey God because of Instagram? And I'm like, you know what? This is why I have a problem with you. Like, why you got to say it like that? You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, fine. I don't want to disobey God because of Instagram of all things. Because don't forget that at this point, I wasn't even really active on Instagram. So I opened up my Instagram page, and then I started posting by complete inspiration. Like, I would be praying in the morning or reading the Bible, and I'll just get something, and I'm like, oh, I want to post that. Now, that I'm a tech person, so I like graphics, and I can figure stuff out easily, so I downloaded some random app that let me create my graphics myself, and I would create the graphics and I would post it. And then people just started following me, and I didn't really take much, I didn't really pay much attention to it until this happened. So at church, we do this thing called a God experience, and it's really just, like a really amazing moment that you've had with God, like in your life, and you kind of just come and talk about it and dramatize it and all that stuff. So I shared my God experience, which is a completely different story for a different day. It's all about like my whole childbirth experience. And the week after I opened up my Instagram page is when they then posted my God experience online. And so church posted it and tagged me. And then all kinds of people started following me. And I started getting all kinds of questions from people like, oh my God, I heard your God experience. I read it. This is what has been happening to me. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Oh, so then in my head, I was like, oh, that's why God wanted me to open up my Instagram page. At this point, I still had no clue. I thought I did. I had no clue. And then I just keep on posting by inspiration, whatever I feel like posting, whether it's about, God, or whether it's about technology, or whether it's about my friend, whatever it is. And I just kept growing a following. Now, one thing about me is that, and you guys know this, like I am probably one of the most naturally joyous people that you would ever meet. Like I'm not a glass half full kind of person, I would always, sorry. I'm not a glass half empty kind of person. I'm a glass half full kind of, you know what I mean? Like, so I would always find the silver lining in everything. So naturally, I'm very hyper like that. If you tell me there's something sad going on in your life, I'll probably find a way to, make it positive and put a spin on it. And so I would just post things, encouragement posts, And then people started following me. And before I knew it, the whole thing just blew out of proportion. I'm getting messages from people saying, oh, would you come and speak at my event? I'm like, speak me. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Speak about what?
You know what I mean? And it just completely like blew up. And before I knew it, I'm getting messages from people saying, oh, you have all these followers. Can we do this? Can we? And I'm like, eh. And then even like my sister is like, you have so many followers. What are you doing with them? Blah, 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 you know? And so I was just like, wow, this is actually really, really, really amazing. Leia just walked in. Leia, come say hi. Come say hi to Makambola. Come say hi to Makambola. We're recording. Come say hi. Come say hi. Come and say hi. Come say hi. Come over.
He's like, Leia also needs to open up his Instagram.
baby, Leia is now like he's standing on the other side of the camera intentionally. Like, why are you doing this?
we see you, Leia.
This is how they can see you.
Hello.
Say hi. Anyway, so
he's gonna get his God experience. Don't worry.
Come on, don't say hi. I'll turn the laptop to you. Come and say hello.
Well, not
He's
be
shy.
upset.
Can you see his fingers?
I can see his finger. Those fingers have hello. But that's fine. That's fine. He's waiting for his own God experience. Has God told him to show his face on Zoom? No.
Well, you're a kid.
So I understand.
He's not asking what you are saying. Come and hear yourself. I'm not going to tell you what to say. Come and hear yourself.
Oh,
yeah, because he can't hear you.
You got the headphones on.
Yeah, because of my earphones. Yeah.
Okay.
So
but that's like we'll do a personal Zoom with him later.
So yeah, I mean,
we got some days today for him too.
Yeah.
Nice. So that's how the whole thing just happened, and then I just keep posting. So I mean, I post by inspiration. Like, it's very difficult for me, to even explain it like in business or structure terms. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is what I did. Because no, it wasn't even like that. It was literally just God saying this, and I mean, now I can see why. And I'm going to go into another spiel. So I feel like if Jesus was here, he would be on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would be posting, because the number of people who are on social media are like crazy.
It's a whole different world. Yeah.
You influence people in ways that you can never even imagine just by a random post. I mean, there was a day that I was sick, guys. I was sick. I was in the hospital and I'm not feeling well at all. And I'm with Leia and I'm like this. And maybe I go and do like a blood test or something. I'm coming back and some lady is like, oh, I follow you on Instagram. Can I take your picture? Can I take a picture with you? I was like, and me, normally, I'm Miss Happy-Go-Lucky. I was like, can you see that I don't feel well? Like, thank you for following me, but I'm not taking any pictures. I feel like crap. But the point is that people sometimes go online and they see something positive and it changes their whole entire day. Yeah. It changes their mindset. It changes their attitudes. And so for me, it is all about that light that we all have within us and how are we shining it, And the truth is that you can't not shine. Like, if you have light to shine, you have to shine it on social media, because that's where everybody is. So even like people like us that have children, we know that our children are going to be influenced by people on social media. So what are we going to do about more positive people being on social media, or not just being there, but actually posting? Because there's a lot of positive people in the world. But what you'll notice is that negative people are so much prouder and happier to come and put up all their stuff, while positive people are in the corner talking about, oh no, I'm shy, no, I don't want light on me, I don't want the limelight, I'm just in my corner. Listen, we need to change the world, and we can't change the world by hiding our light. So for me, it's really all about just push out as much positive content as possible. There's so much crap. Young people especially need to see that life is not about, getting Botox and boob jobs and butt jobs and, all this stuff that you see it's so prevalent in our society. Even here in Nigeria, guys, like, you guys won't believe how much surgery is going on here. People are looking the same. All the women are out there, looking like triplets and twins, everything, the skin color, bleaching their skin and all that. So, for me now, it's now just become like a real platform to just push as much positive content as I possibly can. Obviously things that I'm passionate about as well, which is also helpful, because what then happens is that you then connect with more people that are like you. So I've met so many people on Instagram that I probably would never have met before, because we have similar content, and we kind of connect and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's the long story.
No, that is amazing. I love the backstory behind it for a couple of reasons. Number one, before I jump into the backstory, the other day, and I was telling you this, Meg, I feel like, I've been wanting more to sort of live And that's also the possible because I think our highest calling as human being is really just to inspire. And I think, you know, having a platform like Instagram or any social media tool allows for you to reach so many people, because a lot of people need inspiration. You have, just like you said, people need positivity. They need to be able to hear a story like yours and say, you know, I just randomly got a message and decided to post. There was no strategy necessarily behind it. And out of all of that, out of the out of obeying that sort of your God's calling or the message from God came all of this, and you never really, you never even would have understood it, you know. So I think that's amazing. And I love that. For me, I don't know if you've heard about my magic tree.
No, Bola. I've not heard about your magic tree.
Okay, haters. I mean, the reason I want to talk about the magic tree is because I just feel like, I'm going to bring it back home. There's so many things that we do as human beings that we feel like needs to be structured. Like there needs to be, you know, it's 1 + 1 is 2. And then out of this will come this or whatever. So I'm not going to go into long detail of my magic tree. But what I'll say, though, is, and I would love to then maybe use this as a way to start talking about Dream on Dreamer, because it all encompasses magic and how, you know, things kind of just evolve and you have no idea what's at play, you know, but God, but a greater power that we don't have the understanding.
That we don't see,
That we don't understand. So anyways, quickly, my magic tree, let me tell it. So I've been wanting a tree in my backyard forever. I could never get it. I actually even went out and bought 2 trees that turned out to be dwarf trees.
Oh, no.
Meg ended up planting one, and I wanted it to be directly in my line of sight. So when I'm washing dishes, there's a tree that I'm looking at.
That you can see.
That I can see, and it's beautiful or whatever. So I asked Mac to plant one of the trees that I bought, one of the 2 trees. He planted it slightly off center. It was okay, but it wasn't really where I wanted it. And on the second note, the tree was a dwarf tree, so it wasn't growing as quickly. Anyways, last year we turned around, there's a full-grown tree in my backyard. Full-grown. I'm not talking about, you know, like there's regular trees. I'm talking about, it's probably like a 60-foot, I mean, it's huge. It's massive. It's a huge tree. So I'm looking at Mac because I knew this tree came out of nowhere. So I'm like, Mac, isn't this
Where did that come from?
Where did this come from? This man says this tree has always been here all along. I'm like, no, Mac, yes, it hasn't. So we had to go look at old pictures from like 3 years ago or 4 years ago to prove that that tree wasn't always there. Where did the tree come from? I don't know.
Wow.
Anyways,
magic tree.
I always tell this story because I'm just like, here I am trying to piece together a little tree, but there's so much that we don't know. And when something is meant to be, when God is ready to like razzle dazzle or whatever, or let things manifest, it's never going to be, you know, 1 + 1 is 2. It's just magical, you know. And I think if we tap more into that space and succumb or surrender more into kind of just leading our lives based on you heeding the question or the inspiration to open up your Instagram and not questioning it and just saying, well, God said it, let me do it. I don't understand it. You know, if we're not trying to overthink it, imagine how amazing, you know, we could all be.
Totally agree.
Inspiring people and just living inspirational lives. So I love that story. That's amazing.
So, there
you go, Meg.
So as a new convert to this whole magic thing, you know, I'm still growing in the belief because I still have some skepticism, but I want to ask you some questions about.
We know that that's your way, Mac. we've been coming. We go way back, so we know.
but so like I also really liked your story. A lot of things resonated. Mainly for me, it was like the whole shyness thing about exposing myself, you know, towards the judgment of other people. And also the idea of like, when I thought about Instagram, I thought it was all those bad things that you talked about, people just sitting here.
Showing off.
Not even just that, but like, why do I need to know that you just walked to go get some food? I know that's what you posted.
Like, who cares? Who cares?
But when I did join, and I joined primarily, right. So I joined primarily because I was trying to, open up, like trying to be less closed in.
Yeah.
And I did find a lot of the, positive stuff, the things that were pushing you to these sorts of things. I'm like, oh, Instagram is definitely good for that. And, I think that's a great thing that people are doing. And so I like that, you decided to obey. And I think, one of the biggest things is the fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, so I'm wondering two things, I guess.
Fear.
Yeah, if you could speak to that and I know that part of how you were able to do it is you said, you know what, I had to obey God. And Paul has something very similar.
So my word for the year, I don't know if I shared it with you. I'm sorry, I just get so excited. I don't want to. My word for the year is obedience. Have you heard of the concept of it?
I love it.
Yeah, so mine is obedience, and that taps into the, like, I don't question nothing.
You just move.
I just move.
I love it.
I don't know how this is supposed to happen. I'm sure God will figure it out. I mean, I don't
There's
know.
a way, yeah.
So, but yeah, go ahead.
So on the just move, I'm just wondering, if that would allow me, because I still have tons and tons of fear, so that's why I wanted you to speak to that. If having this sense of what this thing is divine, it's been just handed off to me, allows that fear to go away. And if there's a way that somebody like myself who is still skeptical can tap into that type of power.
Yeah. So, I think that it's a journey. And I think that, like, God never he sometimes does, but often with like our lives and our purpose or our calling, God doesn't show us the full picture. Because if he showed us the full picture, I think that we would mess it up. Like we would over, structure it, we'd overthink it, we'd probably get really scared and it wouldn't happen. And so what I've learned since opening up my Instagram page that I absolutely did not want to do was, when you take that first step, like Bola was saying, like just move, I find that you start to build your faith as opposed to focusing on your fear, because you see that when you did move, you didn't die. Like, so what was I fearful about? Like, did it happen? No, like it probably didn't. And then also I think that for you guys, like you guys are actually a great balance, because you're obviously quite different when it comes to that department. And so it's good to always have somebody who is ready to just fly and somebody who's a bit more cautious, because what it then does is that you guys kind of balance each other out, right? So I think maybe for you, what you need to actually ask yourself is, what exactly is the thing that you want to do and what's holding you back? Like literally, like an honest question. Like, so it could be anything. Is it leaving a job? Is it relocating to a different country? Like, so what is it that is in your heart that has been nagging? So, also like it tends to be something that has kind of just been nagging you for a while. So like we're quitting a job as an example. And I know that Bola has a whole ministry around that. You know what I mean? But it's this whole thing of something that is just there, that has been there and it's not going away. So you have to decide if you want to be an ordinary person. Because I do think that a lot of us are ordinary because we just don't follow what God is asking us to do. Like, it's really just that simple. Like, you won't be unsuccessful, but you will just be okay. Like, you wouldn't be the best version of you. You know what I mean? Like, you would be an okay version of you. You'd probably be proud of yourself. Like, oh yeah, I lived a good life. I did a good job. But did you really become all that you were created to be? Probably not. Because if you don't step out in fear, then there's no room for faith. First of all, you guys know that if every single thing that we did, we just had full confidence in doing it, then we become super proud. Like, we'll be like, listen, this is why, what I'm saying? Like, everything I do, so I feel like there also has to be that space where you realize that there is a greater power than you, right? So if you don't ever have the fear, then you just feel like you can get every single thing done. Even the most famous of people. I mean, I love it when I hear people like, Oprah and all these people that we all adore talking about how, they get really scared about doing some stuff. And it's the reminder that there's something inside of us that is way more than us, that's way bigger than us. You know what I mean? Like, so we're physical beings, but there's so much more. So you're fearful because it's not your comfort zone. But for you to really progress and get to your next level, you can't do it in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you just can't. Like, what is that? Like, who do we know? And Mark, I know that you've read a million books. In fact, you gave me Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell when I had Simisola. I'll never, ever forget. You read all these books, so you know for a fact that you cannot be in your comfort zone making big things happen. Big things don't happen in our comfort zone, and that's just the reality. So I think what I would say to you is just that you need to stop overthinking things, and then you need to stop being so like, you know what, like this is the way things have worked, you know, this is the way things work, you know, like let's not, you know, tussle it up too much, which is also, I think, part of the thing that I've observed about being in America. Like, I feel like America gets you, and we spoke about this, Bola, like you get to a place of real comfort. You know what I mean? Like you have food on your table, your water is running, you have enough, you know, to buy a nice house, buy a nice car, your kids are good. It's almost like if you're not like a visionary person or somebody who is connecting deep with your insides, you will just live that life forever. Yeah. And many people do, and they're very okay. But for me, I feel like that's what, like God could not have created us to just do just that and that's it. Like, what are we going to leave behind money for our children? You get, what's the legacy? Like, so you are from Haiti. It is not by accident that you are Haitian living in America and you are doing well. It's not. Do you understand? You are a representation of something that is so different from America. Same thing for you, Bola. So you guys have so many opportunities to benefit your home countries. Even if you don't go there, you can benefit people. So many people that are around you. Next of all, you're Black. And as we know, now in America, it's dangerous to be Black, right? Yeah. So, you know, there's so much that you can do, but you can't do it in your comfort zone because nothing great happens in our comfort zones. And I could probably go on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stop because
I
wouldn't
perfect.
This is good.
I read a quote, and I forget, I'm going to mess it up. I always mess up people's quotes. But it essentially says,
remix.
When you look around, any sort of innovation or the manifestation of our physical environment has come as a result of rebels, people saying, yes, how could this be done differently? Enough. Any sort of innovation, any sort of progress, any sort of anything you see, the house, the cars, Tesla,
everything, the telephone, the internet, everything.
The internet, when we've gone to Mars or the moon or what have you, you know, the planet, somebody said, well, why can't we do that? You know what I mean? And everybody's going to look at them like, you're crazy. We're not doing that. This is how we do it. But it's only the rebels. It's only those who are willing to stand out by themselves and question the status quo. Those are the creators. Those are the innovators. Those are the ones who are willing to bring forth something deeper from within themselves. So
especially when you're in a place of comfort, right? So if you, I mean, like imagine like before the phone, as an example, was created, people were communicating. They were communicating, you know, they were finding ways, you know, to get messages, you know, across to the other side of the world. Why did somebody decide, let there be a phone? Like, you know, I'm like, how did somebody just decide, let me build this thing that you pick up and you, like what? And then from that communication tool that was developed, you know that since the phone especially, it just boomed because once communication was possible, everything else just went crazy. And then we had the internet, then we had the cell phone, and God knows what's coming next. You know, but I think it's really just not being too comfortable in that, you know, in that comfort zone. Another thing, guys, sorry, just quickly add this is that for those of us that come from countries like ours and have, you know, families where you have a mix of different people, so the people that are doing really well and those that probably aren't and all that, I find also that it takes a lot more of a struggle for us to innovate because sometimes you are just happy to be more successful than most people that you know. Most of my family members, my grandfather would never, you know what?
I'm good.
Let me not rock the boat. Okay.
Not only are you good, let me not mess it up and go back and be like them.
No. PwC is paying me very well. Microsoft is paying me very well. I have retirement benefits. My children are going to go to school. I beg. Let's not rock the boat. So most of us, and that's why you find that a lot of people like from like our countries, they don't really innovate because listen, everybody is just, as they say in America, is trying to get up out the hood. Like we're just trying to get to the city and live a decent life, have food on our table, have a nice car, have a nice house, let our kids get better opportunities. And so a lot of times we don't even realize how much those things actually limit us. Because they were like, well, creative, I don't want. Creative idea, go away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What am I going to tell my parents? What?
I know. I remember. So it's funny. Speaking of which, I remember we my first job out of college was Lily.
Eli Lilly, yes.
Like Lily.
When you quit, I'm sure they were
I know.
like,
So I remember I was there for like 2-3 years, and I just looked. I was like, "This ain't it. I can't.
This is not life.
I can't. So
Indianapolis is.
It's not. I'm not gonna be stuck here. There's bigger, better things in my life than this place. So I not only quit. Well, maybe I talked it through with my parents. I feel like I kind of just quit, and then I called them, and I was like, "Oh, parents, I'm coming home. Do you know my dad forbade me? Do not come back here.
Do not come to this house. Do not come to this house. Which
Do
house?
not
Which
go
house?
back there and go back for your job. What are you talking about? Go." I was just like,
Yeah.
I was like,
And you know what? He could never understand what you were saying. Like, what? Are you joking?
Yeah.
Do you know how many people we kill for a job like that?
and that was and mind you, like my dad is actually a more reasonable of the bunch.
Yes,
but I was so surprised by how he sort of
By
just
his reaction.
He had family members calling me, aunties, uncle, everybody questioning whether or not I done lost my mind. And I'm just like, guys, it's just not. I'm okay. I'm just gonna come home and figure it out.
Listen, there's a mold.
That's a true point.
There's a mold, man. And when you don't fit into
yeah.
that mold and follow that system, our parents are just like, are you guys for real? Like, you guys have to have lost your mind, you know? So yeah, I think it's very interesting.
Yeah. So then that leads us to you authoring a whole book. I mean, come on. Even before we talk about the whole process, which I'm fascinated by, of actually bringing forth a book, because I think that in and of itself is a whole episode. You know, there's so many things that I've been wanting to do, author being on top of it. I mean, but a bunch of other things. And for you to actually say, you know what, we're just gonna do it. You know, we don't talk about that. But tell us about the book and why you felt, even beyond whatever self-imposed limitations, whatever fears, like what made the content or what made what was in your heart so compelling that you felt like you had to push through all of it and birth it?
Okay, so I'm going to go back to another one of my God stories. So honestly speaking, I would not, listen, Foluso would not have written any book. I mean, you guys might not remember, but but you will, because we studied together. I was never a book reader.
No,
I remember Matt would read books and be talking to us about the books. I would be rolling our eyes at him. Because you know, Matt used to get philosophical and all that. We're like, sure,
and I'll be wondering, was this book assigned by a professor? Was this book assigned? If not,
you mean you read it just for fun? You must be weird. Who reads books for fun? That was me. I was so proud of not being a book reader. I remember one of my newer friends I met after college. One day I told her that I didn't read, and she looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, but I don't know. I was worried. And she was like, that day she thought I was the craziest person ever. Like, who is proud of not reading? Like, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, so me authoring a book is not normal at all. But I think it's all part of what happens when you step out in obedience. Things start to happen, you know, and then your talents start to get activated and you're like, I'm me. Anyway, so I'm a dreamer. I dreamt for as long as I can remember. But I never thought anything about my dreams. I just thought dreams, whatever. And in fact, I think I probably suppressed a lot of my dreams, because you know how sometimes when you have nightmares, you're like, listen, man, I don't want to be dreaming. And so I realized that I wasn't having deja vu moments and that I was dreaming a few years ago, when one day I was talking to one of my cousins and I was telling her about a dream, and then we started talking, and then she told me to go read a book. Read a book, because I realize now that I'm older that if you don't read, just go and rest in peace, because really you won't learn anything. So so then I go and I read this book, and this book opens up my eyes to the fact that dreams are actually communication from God. Like why do you guys ignore all the ways that God tries to speak to you? And so from that day on, I started taking my dreams a bit more seriously, a bit more. I would journal my dreams and all that stuff. And so I have many dream journals, because I dream a lot. I have many. I mean, I've got a whole bunch of them. I have a whole bunch of journals everywhere. Larry rolls his eyes at me because, I'm always like stacking them. He's very organized. Like, he cleans everything and arranges stuff. I'm the kind of person that my things can be all over the place. So you just see one journal somewhere and you'll be mad. You're like, this girl and all her 1 million journals. But I have a lot of journals. Anyway, so last year I was at a silent retreat. That's a different story for a different day. Because, I do too much. Yeah. I do too much. Yeah. Yeah,
Did you say,
girl.
we have to talk. I've been wondering about silent retreats. What?
So 3 days.
Wow.
And let me tell you, oh my God.
Where
like,
was
it? In Nigeria here. So there's a lady I met, random. You know, everything is so random when you start to obey. You don't start connecting with all the right people. You know, it's like magnet and sulfur. So this lady that I met, who actually happens to go to my church, but I didn't even know she went to my church, she just organizes silent retreat 4 times a year. And the reason she organizes them is because she went through a really bad divorce and needed to clear her head. So she found this place, which is actually not too far from the city. It's like an hour out. And she found this monastery where they do silent retreats. And it's amazing. Like, you would not believe that you are in Lagos. It's like amazing. Oh my God, it's amazing. Anyway, so she organizes them four times a year. And, you know, she publicizes it on WhatsApp groups that she's on. So it's not like it's out there, but I saw it on a group that I'm on with her, and I was like, oh, this sounds interesting, because when I saw it, I had been really stressed. I was like, I need to get out of Lagos. I've been looking for a way to just go away. And usually when we want to get out of Lagos, we travel. But you know, there's a lot of work when it comes to traveling internationally. That in itself is even stressful sometimes, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I go for the first one, and oh my God, guys, I can't even explain. It was amazing. First of all,
silence for 3 days?
So it's your choice, but yeah, it's very quiet.
I'm sure that was tough for you.
I put my, you know what I thought it would be, but I was actually fine. Like I slept, I didn't know that I was tired until I got there.
Yeah.
I must have slept for like half a day. I didn't even know. Wow. I woke up in the morning and I was like, what happened? Heck up. Oh, wow. Mind you, this place is really basic. It's no frills, very basic place. It has mosquito net. You know, like, it's not like a fancy hotel, but let me tell you guys, it is serene. It's simple, it's basic, and it's fantastic. Anyway, so last year I went for my third one, because she does them 4 times a year. So this one was the first one I think of last year. And, you know, I'm just there, you know, just doing my silent retreat thing. And, you know, here comes God again, like, oh, you really should write a book on dreams. Now, because I was at the silent retreat, I was like, yeah, that's a great instruction. I'll do it.
Yes,
yeah,
God.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah, that sounds great. And then I came out of the silent retreat, and maybe like 2 or 3 months after, I was like, no, what? I'm not gonna. First of all, where do I get off writing a book about dreams? Just after like really, you know. And then I had imposter syndrome, like crazy. Now, something else about me is that 2 things, you know. When I feel like God is telling me to do something, I have developed to the point where I just do it. It's taken me a while, but now I just do it.
Obedience.
Second of all,
just do it. Ain't no point questioning. Just do it.
Can I quickly ask?
No,
I'm sorry. No,
go ahead.
I have to. So how do you know it's God that's speaking to you and not just your own thoughts? And then you could continue. It's just for my own, and all those who are probably listening who.
That's a really good question. But let me tell you how I have known when it's God for sure. Is that there's confirmation outside of me. Sometimes when it's all you, you know, it takes a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to get something done and it's just so much work. When it's God, you start getting random people. Like, somebody random can just call you and say something to you, or you meet. So like with me, I can literally meet somebody at an event and the person just says something and I'm like, oh my God, oh, so that thing is real. You know, so I feel like it is the confirmation that comes from places that you're like, okay, definitely, this is for sure. Now, the other thing is that we're all different. And I think that God speaks to all of us in different ways. So for me, I think that's how God confirms things to me. For somebody like you, he might confirm it in a more dramatic way, because you're not like me and Bola who kind of just run. So you might have like you would have a confirmation that works for Mac, might not work for Bola.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So the confirmation that works for me might not work for her, and so on and so forth. But you will definitely get some sort of external confirmation that makes you know, oh, wow, okay, fine. Sometimes it's even putting on the TV and you're like, Sometimes, guys, I kid you not, sometimes I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see a course. Maybe I've been thinking about how, oh, I need to do this course. And I just see so-and-so university is offering this course. And I'm like, oh. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, confirmation. But anyway, so the second thing
let me just quickly speak on that point as well. Confirmation. I know. Did I interrupt her? You interrupted her. I swear to God. You are going to be put out of this show so quickly. No, but I just really wanted to stomp on that confirmation, because I do think it's a great point. And I mean, you and I talk about confirmation.
I'm sure you guys
all
talk
the
about
time,
it. Yeah.
you know, and a recent example, I don't even have to talk about it. I was talking to a family friend of mine that I hadn't seen in forever. He reached out of nowhere and was like, oh, I'm in Colorado now or whatever, you know. And so it's a long story short, because I don't want to take too much air, but how, and my spirit felt like I had to go see him. So we were talking, I was like, oh my God, we'll have to figure out a way to go see. I don't even know, I've never thought about Colorado, but let me figure out a way to go see you. Next thing, we're booking our flights for Busola's 40th that we were just in. And there's a routing through Colorado. And that was the cheapest flight. That was the cheapest flight.
I love
my
it.
back and was like, you know what?
Let's make it happen.
That was the cheapest flight. It gave us about 24 hours there of a layover
wow.
there.
Oh, wow.
And it was literally probably 2 days after I spoke with him, where I felt like my spirit. So once again, it's when you're tuning into.
It's all about the frequency.
When you're tuning into it, you see it. I mean, there's so many confirmations that I see, but that was one that I spoke with him.
I love it.
Recently about. And it just makes sense.
It just makes sense.
You understand. Another way also is that for me to hear the clarity of it, you can almost envision it, and it also nags on you. So it's almost one of those things where
it won't leave you alone.
It won't leave you. Like there's a.
That's what happened with this book. This book, listen.
I gotta bring it forth. But
the book didn't leave me alone.
Yes,
the book didn't leave me alone. I would forget about it, and then it would come back. Anyway, so something else I did was, because obviously I had imposter syndrome. English is not one of my favorite topics. I don't like writing typically. All this Instagram writing I do, and that's the other thing. People are like, oh, I like your writing. And I'm like, this is so funny. Like, God is so amazing, because y'all don't even know. Like, you guys, Sade wrote my college essays. That's how much Sade is my sister.
Yeah.
Like, it's not one of my things. Anyway, so I found one person to help me out with the book, so I would send her, I sent her all the things that I had typed up, sent her voice notes, but somehow or the other, that just died. Like, she didn't really take off with it. Then she told me that somebody else could help me because she was going to go do something. Long story. It just was like, it was just there. It was hanging out on Google Drive for months. The book was on Google Drive. And then in December, one day I was praying and I felt like God was like, the book. And I'm like, oh yeah, the book, oops, book. And then it was like, yeah, you know what? Let the book come out in March of 2020. Now in December, March seemed very far. So I was like, yeah, March is far. I can do March. I can do March. March is far. Guys, before I knew it, literally, was it March or was it April? No, it was April 2020. So in December, April was like, oh my God, that's a long time. I was like, I can get it done in April. I mean, I've already written most of it. It's just to, kind of beef up some of the chapters, all that stuff. And then comes COVID, and then comes the lockdown. Now, prior to that, guys, I forgot about the book. Let me not lie to you. I forgot. Then the lockdown happens, and one day I'm sitting down, because, during the lockdown, there was a lot more still and silence that there typically is in our lives. And I remembered, and I was like, oh, I'm supposed to write a book, that's supposed to be coming out April so date. So I go on my WhatsApp to my assistant. I'm like, Kende, when is the date I told you my book is supposed to be released? And Kende is like, let her go check. And then Kende gives me the date, and I'm like, I'm finished. There's no way. But you guys know what? I literally had 2 weeks, and you guys will not believe it. That the person that I then felt like God had laid on my heart to connect with to help me with the book, me and her, I call her, I'm like, listen, this is the date that God gave. She goes, okay, fine. If you told me that this was your date, I would be like, please push it. But since you said that it's God, oh yeah, let's make it happen. Guys, that's how we made it happen, man.
Wow.
We not only made it happen, it was during the lockdown, so we couldn't print any physical copies. So we put it on, Amazon Kindle. We put it all online and released it. Because, typically with books, I mean, with everybody I know that writes and launches books, there's a whole, like book launch. You have physical copies of the books so that people can buy a whole bunch of copies. None of that. There was no fancy, nothing. And you guys, the feedback I have gotten about this book, actually, like, it scares me. Because I'm like, oh my God. Like, when I go on Amazon and I read the reviews, I'm just like, you know what? And this is how you also know that a lot of things in life are not really about you. Like when God puts a plan in your heart, it's about the people that he wants to help or save or deliver from whatever they're going through. through what he has put in your heart. Do you understand? So it's not even about Foluso wrote the book. It's about there was a message that needed to be put out into the world. He put it out through me. And guess what? If I didn't do it, I'm sure that he would have found somebody else to do it. But I did it, and I'm shocked. And you know, everything about the book is just like, wow. So even the publishing, like I keep getting people asking me, like, so who's your publisher? I'm like, I don't have a publisher. I don't have a publisher. No, like I'm like, guys, I'm telling you, like this whole thing is just completely like God. Like I don't have a publisher. Wow. So the lady that helped me is like a mentee / aburo of mine that I met on Instagram, mind you, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes. I met her because she had DM'd me then to be like, oh, can you please come and speak at my event? And me and her have got along really well, and we've been extremely cool since then. She's the one that helped me with so many things. She's the one that connected me to the person that would do the illustration. Mind you, she connected me to somebody that another one of my mentees knew. So I ended up not having to pay much. And then even with her, she didn't charge me for stuff. So everything just happened like, in fact, the way that things happened, I don't even know like what the real cost of publishing a book is. Do you understand? Because it didn't happen naturally, like in a natural or normal way. It just didn't happen like that. And so that's magic. I'm telling you, it was just absolutely amazing. And so that's how the book came out. And now it's so much easier for me to even think about writing my next book. You know what I mean? Like, so now I'm like, okay, so what's the next book going to be? You know, because, you know, I've done it. And even though it took a lot out of me and, you know, I had imposter syndrome, now the imposter syndrome is gone over writing a book because I've written a book. You know what I mean? So now I'm like, okay, so is my next book, is it going to be a spiritual book? Is it going to be a book of business? Is it going to be about technology? Like, I don't know. But now I'm actually envisioning, you know what I mean? The next book. So yeah, that's how it happened, guys.
Have you heard the book, The Big Magic?
Mm-mm.
Who wrote it?
Who's it by?
I don't remember her name.
It was the same woman who did Eat, Pray, Love. I forget her name.
Okay.
But
I'll look online.
It's called The Big Magic. The reason I said it is because that same concept that you had about how if you hadn't obeyed and written the book, that inspiration will have gone to somewhere else. Because when an idea is ready to be brought to the world, when God is ready to,
it's there, man.
It's going to happen regardless. And she also talks about how it's happened to her on many occasions, to the point where she had a specific concept about a book she was trying to write. Very, very specific, down to the characters, what happened to them. And she ended up not writing it for whatever reason. She didn't fully obey. And, you know, she goes into the story as to why she didn't do it. And a similar book was written.
By somebody else.
Somebody else, same timing, same characters, same backstory. I mean, it was shocking. So, yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, that's why it's important to obey and not analyze. Well, what would the resources come from? What about the timing and everything? Just do it. Because
let me tell you,
just do it. Yeah.
Totally agree. Totally. Yeah, I mean, Wow. I can't even fault that. That's exactly what happened to me. Yeah.
Wow.
My mom is like, you wrote a book. My mother is still in shock. She read it and she was like, wow, that's a really good book. She's like, because, you know, like my mom used to try to force me to read in school. I would not read. She used to try to get me to, you know, I would not. Shade had to write my college essays, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine, like, that's how deep it, you know what I mean? Like, so Shade writing a book would have been normal for her. Yeah, and you know, that's like the other thing about like doing things that are not really about you, is that you see that it's not really about what you find comfortable or easy to do, because a lot of things that I'm currently doing are not things that I would typically, you know, I obviously have gifts in certain areas that, you know, are being highlighted, but a book, there's no way I would ever have said I was going to write a book. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness, like my dad would probably have passed out, like, Foluso, you book, you know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Wow, that's great.
Well, I was just gonna ask you a little, to tell our audience a little bit about, you know, the concept and how, you know, I'm a person who doesn't remember my dreams. I've thought about, you know, writing them down, and I need to start doing.
You have to have a dream journal. You totally have to have a dream journal. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But like, so how do you interpret the dream that you have?
Yeah. So the thing about dreams is that, because they're God's way of communicating, well, most dreams are God's way of communicating with you. Some of our dreams are just soulless dreams. So you go to bed hungry and, you know, pizza is chasing you in your dreams. Mm-hmm. That's not from God. That's because you are hungry, you know, or you like have like there's something that, you know, you watched a TV show before you went to bed, and then, you know, all those characters are in your dream. You know, a lot of those dreams are not like God dreams. They're just like, you know, like soulless dreams. Now, the God dreams, interpreting them, you can't really do them without God. That's the thing. So it actually takes a bit of work, and it's entirely up to you if you want to do the work. But I personally have so many dreams in the book where you will see how God has either saved my life or saved the life of somebody I love or saved the life of even a stranger because of a dream that he gave to me. So for me, it is like dreams are literally like our superpower. Like, why did God feel the need to download all of this stuff to me or to you? Do you understand? Like, why out of all the people in the world who are sleeping, did he feel the need to let you know this or let me know that? So for me, it's actually like a superpower. So interpreting them is not easy, and it's not always straightforward. So your dreams are rarely as they happen, you know. So sometimes, you know, it takes a bit of deep thinking. Like, you saw somebody in your dream. Sometimes it might be what the person represents as opposed to the actual person. You know what I mean? Like, things like that. So it's not always like, I saw Bola in my dream and she bought me a Rolex, so Bola is going to buy me a Rolex. You know what I mean?
No, you gonna buy me one?
Check your mail, Foluso. Don't worry. Check your mail.
I'm gonna check.
Hopefully COVID hasn't delayed it.
Actually, when I was saying buy me a Rolex, I was actually speaking as Mac.
Yeah.
So buy him a Rolex.
Don't check your mail anytime soon.
But no, you know, like sometimes it might be, what does a Rolex represent? You know, it represents, you know, riches and wealth, you know, so it might be something else along those lines. So it's not always straightforward. But I will say, start by keeping a dream journal. Then when something happens and you dreamt about it, you'll know. You'll literally have a moment and you'll be like, oh my God, this has happened before. And then you will think to yourself, it's a deja vu moment. It's not a deja vu moment. You've actually dreamt it before. And so you can start connecting the dots about how God speaks to you and how it actually happens in real life.
Yeah. See, I don't dream. If I do, I don't remember it at all. And maybe I just need to do a better job of journaling, because I want to make sure that I'm not missing other parts of it. I do have visions of what I'm supposed to manifest. Yeah, so I do. It's very clear. And part of obedience is, I don't want to, like you said, you know, you have to find outlets for all of your you know, superpowers or your gifts and your blessings and all of that. So part of me is sometimes I feel overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I'm supposed to do this. And now I'm supposed to do this. And now I'm supposed to do this. And I just try to figure out a way to balance it all. But I think the visions that I get, because they're so clear, honestly, if it even to the point where there's a timing component to it. When it doesn't happen as planned, like COVID messed up a lot of the visions that I have, and I'm just like, why would God show me that? It doesn't make sense unless there must be something that I need to track, or maybe my timing was a little off. But for the most part, it's typically like to the timing, and I'm like, I move forward confidently because it's so clear.
Love it.
That's amazing. So, I mean, it looks like there's a lot going on. I did have a bunch of questions I wanted to get to, but we didn't even get past all the things that you do, Miss Foluso. So we'll have to have another conversation.
Have a part two.
I'm interested. Yeah. We definitely gonna have to have a part two. But so I have two more questions. Number one, now, obviously, like you said, based on all the great successes from you just obeying, you know, and your life is turning into this amazing thing that maybe you couldn't even have envisioned, right?
I could never have. I can't even lie.
Right.
I could never have.
So you know, part of what's here in terms of what you do is, you know, you're a speaker. So how are you now trying to, you know, when we talk about inspiring, when we talk about advocacy, when we talk about social media and all of that, how are you sort of boiling and distilling and doing all of this in a way that allows you to, you know, continuously share that message? And I know you're a speaker, so tell us more about that.
Yeah, so one thing that I've learned about a lot of things that are happening with me, at least, is that when I try to like over structure or over box it, then I have a problem. And I'm saying that because, so as part of trying to improve on my communication skills and kind of taking my speaking side gig to a whole new level, I wanted to sign up for like some course, you know, so I did like a preview of the course where they were kind of talking to us, you know, and the guy was like, oh, you know, that as a speaker, you you have to have one core message, you know, and you have to have one this and one that. And you know, after that conversation, I had a really weird like out of body experience. I was like, that's so not me. Like I don't I don't have one core message.
Yeah.
I have certain things that you would never see me speaking on, like ever. Like if it's not going to inspire, encourage, empower, you will not see me anywhere near it. But then I speak about many things. I speak about purpose. I speak about technology. I speak about women. I speak about leadership. Like, so when he said that to me, I knew immediately that I was going down the wrong path by trying to over-structure it in the typical speaker way, right?
Yeah.
And so I think for me, with all the things that I'm passionate about, and you know, it's really just, when you're passionate about something, it's easy for you to talk about it, right? So there are things that I remember from college that Matt would go from being quiet to shouting and screaming about. I can never forget, because he was passionate about it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, Black people, you know, and Africa, you know, like there were certain things that you would see that somebody who is typically not that personality just comes alive. It's the same way people say that Beyonce is shy, but when she gets on the stage, you know, she comes alive. I find that when it's the things that you're passionate about, it doesn't take much effort for you to talk about them. Now, what obviously the packaging does is that it makes you better. It makes you able to present yourself, you know, in a way that if you wanted to get like on an international stage as an example, right? Your message isn't lost, and you're also not speaking in a way that maybe gets lost on the people. You know, so like there's ways to always make things better and fine tune them. But I do think that everybody's a speaker in some way or the other, because there's something that we're all passionate about. Like, so I never started out to be a speaker. In fact, when people call me a speaker, I'm like, I am. But I obviously like to talk. Y'all know that. Y'all have known me for a long time. And so if I'm passionate about a topic, I will kill it. But I've learned as well that you don't have, so when we're bantering, we can banter for 10 hours and, you know, not go home. But when you're on a stage and you've been given a platform by God where you can influence many people, you have to know how to get that message into 20 minutes or into 30 minutes. So you do have to learn the arts, you know, as they call it, you know, of speaking, and how to get your points out there concisely and all that good stuff. So I think for me, it's really just talking about everything I'm passionate about. Like, so when I started speaking, I would speak about the things I was passionate about, like anywhere, everywhere. And there were even some things that maybe I wasn't so passionate about, but I could speak about, because communication is one of the things that, you know, I kind of like to do, like gisting and talking. But now there are certain things I just won't speak about. So some people email me and they're like, can you come and talk about this? And I'm like, no, it's not my area of expertise. Because now, after like 4 years, I know what I'm good at talking about naturally. I know what my expertise is. So I'm not going to go and talk about something I know that Bola will be better at, and you can go and ask Bola, Jonathan, like what, like why? And so I think for me, it's also a journey. And you know, that's the thing about all these things about obedience, is that it's not like magic that just happens overnight. It's literally a process. It's a journey. And before you know it, you keep fine tuning, and then you get to that place where bang, you know, you're doing exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing. But it might have taken you maybe years of, you know, kind of going through long, windy roads and trying to figure it out. Like I would say this year, 2020, during this lockdown, is when I really had a true epiphany of exactly the things I'm truly passionate about and I want to be doing. So I even went and edited all of my profiles online, because I was like, now I really know that this is this is my focus area. So if you ask me what is my focus, I could tell you. I couldn't say that like 4 years ago, or maybe even like 3 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's really just a journey.
Yeah, no, that's great. It takes experience. I agree. I feel like with every day, even for me, I am like further refining my understanding.
Refining, that's the word.
Where you want to
refining it,
put your energy, where you want to focus, what you want to be known for. But what I love about you is that you are a student of whatever it is that you're trying to do. So it's almost as if you have an interest in something or whatever, you don't necessarily say, well, that's not what I do. That's not me. You know, that, like you said, like you are going to study it and figure out a way to then occupy that space in a way that you feel the most authentic to you. So
you know something else about that, about, you know, occupying space is going to go back to this whole thing about influence, and how the only way for us to really make an impact is really to be people that have influence. And so you are in a space that you're actually able to influence people, and you're also able to get some sort of levels of power where you can actually make a real change. I think I'm learning that those that are able to really make changes in society, you know, so like transformational change that really lasts, are people that are occupying their space, and they're not doing it because they're only passionate about it. They're students of it, just like you said, you know, so they're studying it. They are being in a place where they're constantly learning about it, and they are talking about it, you know, whether it's through posting or through teaching, whatever, you know, like you guys have started, you know, doing these, your online classes where you're teaching people. Like you literally have to just find any outlet. And we're so fortunate, guys, because we live in a time where we have the internet, we have social media. So whereas our parents had many things on their heart, they couldn't teach them. You know, like what were they going to teach them? It was only being a professor. Back in the day, the only way for you to teach was to become a professor. Now we're all professors because we're in the knowledge, you know, we are in the times of knowledge economy. Everybody can teach. I know people who don't know anything, God forgive me, and they're teaching. They're out there on, you know what I'm saying? Like they're out there. I'm like, really? Okay, sure. You have worked for 1 minute and you're talking about how to structure a business.
You're an expert.
Right, cool. Do you? But the point is, that's the beauty of the times that we're living in, and people that have the experience should leverage all the platforms and use them. You know what I mean? And you never know where you're going to end up in a position where you can really start making changes to policy. Because we complain about the government, we complain about our societies, but we're not taking the places to actually make the true changes. So why are we complaining?
Yeah,
you know?
No, it's true. Be the change you want to see in the world.
All the way, all the way. Yes, exactly.
That's amazing. Did you have anything? Because I do have one last question for Foluso. I know. Oh my God. Let me tell you what people said about this podcast.
So over time. It's so long. I was actually going to tell you that the podcast is long.
Why is it so long? But could we have cut this short?
I think, Foluso, this is what you just said. You tried to give us some advice when you were talking about speaking. All right. And she didn't catch it. You got the package.
She sure didn't. It flew right over her head. When you have a platform, Bola, you have to be concise.
I know. I can't.
So you know, like your natural. No. It's because of your natural talent. You know, like you do freestyle, and because you of the way that you communicate, different to Max, you can spend 3 hours on something that Mac will probably spend an hour on. Yeah. Do you understand? So you kind of have to, like, you know, kind of get both strengths and figure out a way to make magic, because it is a long podcast. I was actually going to tell you, like, girl, this podcast is long.
I know. Yeah. We gonna cut it into 3 parts. I don't know. It's all so good though. It's so good. Okay. So my last question, and I'm hoping I can pick one that is so great based on, you know, all the things that you've talked about. Okay. So this one is a good one to wrap it up, and you know, we can come back and do some of the other ones later. But all right, so in this moment, knowing what you know, there are some, so I'm gonna give you an example for me. You know, there's some lessons that I'll understand in theory, but because my old way of life is so ingrained in me, I have to keep seeing it and I'm like, oh my God, Bola, you learned this, like, why are we still, you know? So I just wonder, you know, as you are transitioning, transforming, sort of staring into the light of who you are meant to be, you know, what are some of those things that are still hanging on that you're like, oh my God, I thought I dealt with this, but it's still here. You know what I mean? So what lessons have just been, what lessons are proving to be difficult for you to sort of shake, you know, realize, you know, this is who I am, not that person. Yeah.
So, you know, I think that the lessons that are proving difficult for me to shape are the ones that really have to do with like the core of who I am. So personality wise, I'm an extrovert. I'm sure that's pretty obvious. But then your personality type should never be the reason why you make an excuse, right? So because I'm an extrovert, as an example, and I like to talk, I've had to really practice how to listen. It's so hard. Mm-hmm. But as a leader, I'm doing all these things. You need to learn how to not only listen for what people are saying, but even what they're not saying. So looking at people and reading their body language, because, you know, I do so many different things. And sometimes at least in the past, before I started trying to master myself, like, so this whole thing about self-awareness now leads to like self-mastery. There are many things that I used to exert my energy on that you would never catch me exerting my energy on anymore. So now I've accepted who I am. I know what I'm good at to a large extent. And so I outsource a lot of stuff. So because I'm a tech person and I like graphics and I like to create stuff sometimes, my social media, as an example, I think I was telling Bola, for the longest time, I used to do everything myself. I would create my graphics myself, everything, post, blah, blah, blah. It was like last year or 2 years ago, I can't remember when exactly it was, when I bungled a whole bunch of things because I was doing too many things at once and I wasn't managing my time properly. That is another downside to being an extrovert. You know, we like to over juggle stuff and we think that there's more than 24 hours in a day. Mm-hmm. And so I had to hire somebody to help me out because it's not that I can't do it. I can do it myself, but then I don't have the time to do it. So there are many things I can do that I can't do. There are many things I can do that I shouldn't do because I need to spend my time doing the things that only I can do. Does that make sense?
One. Yeah.
Because there are things that I can't outsource that I have to do. So why is it that the things that I can outsource, I don't? I insist on doing everything myself. So I'm past that. I've been delivered from the bondage of, you know, super mom, super wife, superhero. No, ain't no super, you know. I now find people, like most of the people that are around me that are like my support people, they are very good at things that maybe I'm average at or things that I'm not good at, and they do it very well. So I don't feel bad because I'm just like, okay, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? You know, and they do it and they run with it. And then we are all playing our part in that big, beautiful picture, but I'm not trying to be every puzzle piece. You know what I mean? Like I'm just being my own puzzle piece and they come and they do their own thing and it all works out and becomes beautiful. So yeah, I think that's one thing that I really had to let go of and took me a while, but I'm there. I think I'm there.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great. I'm still struggling with that. But anyways, this was amazing.
This is great. It's really good. This is one of our better ones in terms of the insights.
Thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys. You know, I really prayed to God to make me wise. One of my serious prayer points a few years ago, I was like, God, I want to be wise like Solomon. Like, you know how he says nobody was, I need to be, because, you know, I realized that, guys, do you guys know that wisdom is actually the key to many things? Like, there's so many things that we all battle for that if you are wise, you don't even have to battle. They will just come to you naturally. So I prayed for a long time for wisdom. So I'm glad when people tell me that I'm either wise or I drop inside. I'm like, yes, prayer answered.
No, honestly, it's so true. And I mean, you know, there was so many things that I was writing down furiously, even now and then. The last time, I feel like there's so many things that you package in a way that sort of unlocks some of those things that we struggle with, in a way that just seems somewhat effortless, you know, and relatable. And I think that's key because, you know, we're all trying to be our best selves, but sometimes you've seen people once at self-mastery, you know, once they've mastered it, or when they're trying to communicate how they did it or what's going on, it falls.
You don't get it.
You're not able to relate to it. But I think what's great about you is, you know, you're able to be concise, you know, with the wisdom that you're sharing, but it's so relatable and seems like doable. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem out of reach.
I'm glad. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah. But had a great time. This was wonderful.
Same here. Too much fun. Always fun with you guys.
I know. Thank you so much for
send our best to all of the family.
I will.
I know Simi. I don't know if I met.
To me is the one that was here at the start with the afro. That's
yeah.
Yes, I will. Yeah. I'll send my love to your college-bound children because I saw Nubia and I was like, I don't understand. This Nubia,
isn't that
like what?
Nuamen is taller than me.
I remember coming to visit you when you were pregnant with Nubia. I just had Nuamen and you were like, what in the world? I was like, this is Nubia. How?
Yeah.
I remember the sweater you were wearing, Bola. I actually remember the sweater you were wearing. You were such a bad, that day you were just like, why? Like, what is this?
I was battered. No, for the longest time. I mean, even my journey of motherhood is probably something that documented. It was, I mean, I struggled for real with motherhood. Let's just be for real. So yeah. I feel like I'm in my good space now. I can do this.
Yeah, like you got your mojo back.
In younger days, I was just like, people lied. This is not a walk in the park. This is hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah. But thank God for having a community. Anyways, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to get this out and have the our fans listen and be blessed by it.
Well done, guys. You guys are doing a great job. I love your tag team. Really do.
Thanks. But I don't want you to make Mac feel so comfortable because I need him to understand that this is still my show.
Whatever. This has become our show.
That's what he be saying. Our show. I'm like, no, I'm the one on the picture. Anyways, well, thank you so much.
Mac, you better get a headshot and sneak it in there. Anyway,
it's all packaging.
You don't even need to be in the picture, actually. Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't need to be in the picture. For what? For what?
But anyways, well, Mac, take us some. This has been another great episode of Some Days Today. I know we don't have to come up with a better tagline, but this is what we got for now. This is what we got. No, before we finish, Felicia, can you tell people where to find you?
Oh, yeah, of course. So you can find me on Instagram at Foluso G. There's no H, so it's Folus as in Sam OG on Instagram. And on LinkedIn, it's Foluso with no H, Gbadamosi. Spelling. Foluso. Last name is Gbadamosi. And those are the two places I'm really active on. I don't really do I'm there, but I don't really do Facebook and Twitter. So you can find me on either of those two places. Can't wait to connect with you guys.
I know, and we'll put the spelling there so people know.
Fantastic.
But also, though, for those who are amazed and want to get in touch with you, either for a speaking engagement or for whatever it is, should they also go on that platform or what?
So I have a website. So it's folusogbadamosi.com, and Bola is going to put it at the bottom of the screen. So you guys can check me out there, and you can just contact me there, and we can talk.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. So good. So good.
All right, Mac, and take us out. So pressed.
Wait, what is it?
Welcome. This is another episode of Some Days Today, where we encourage you to live your life like it's a fucking vacation. I think we may need to evolve from that. I don't know. I feel like there's more to this than vacation. But anyways,
You'll get it.
She said we'll get it.
You'll get it.